Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you all are doing good. I'm doing well. In this video, I'm gonna talk about my honest opinion on making money by selling options. So, if you look here today, my portfolio is down 0.55%, but overall, if you look at the S&P 500, it is down 0.4%, but Nasdaq is down 1.16%, and then SCHD is up 0.39%. These are my top three holdings, and I try to keep these ETFs in my portfolio all the time. Although I'm selling cash, secured puts, and covered calls in some scenarios on these, but I want to hold these stocks or ETFs for a long time. So now, getting back into the topic of this video, I wanted to show you guys what the real math looked like for selling cash secured puts and covered calls and making 2 to 5% every single month by doing so. So it's not a hack, it's not a financial advice or anything like that, but I'll show you guys my results and you can decide for yourself if that looks good to you and you would want to do that as well. So it's basically my story and my and based on facts and figures. So if you look here, most of my investments are already in these solid ETFs: QQQ, SPY, and SCHD. SCHD is Dividend King. SPY is, of course, S&P 500 index ETF, so you can't go wrong with that. And then QQQ, which is NASDAQ 100 index ETF. So all of these are solid core positions. But if you have been following me, you probably noticed that I'm selling cash secured puts and covered calls on other ETFs as well. So say for example, one of my favorite ETF to trade options on is SOXL. I currently hold 100 shares of SOXL with the current average price of $29.77. But I sell covered calls on my 100 shares and making roughly around $60 to $100 every single month by selling covered calls on my 100 shares. So just holding 100 shares, I've been able to generate $100 on my $3,000 investment that you see here. Now, to the fun part. What I do for selling cash secured puts is how I'm making most of my money by options. Although covered calls are giving me $100 a month, but I'm selling cash secured puts on this leverage ETF, which is little aggressive. Of course, it is little scary if you are a new investor. I've been selling cash secured puts and covered calls for over 4 years now, so I do have some good experience. I've seen some 2020 fluctuations and some fluctuations in 2022 that occurred. So um, I do think that I do have some idea of what I'm doing here. So on the cash secured put side, what I do is when the stock today was hovering around $28 and somewhere around 27.50, 28, low of 28, I sold 9 contracts of cash secured puts at $25 strike price. What I got by that is I got some $278. So $279 that you see here, and that 279 of course comes with regulatory fees. So after all of that, dust settles, $278 were credited to me right away. Now this $278 on roughly $25,000, not even 25. So I sold 9 contracts, so less than $25,000. So let's do some math here. So 9 contract and each contract of 25. So 2,500 each contract. So I spent $22,500 and I made $278, right? So this is more than 1%. This is return of 1 week. It's not anything crazy or you cannot achieve. I'm showing you guys numbers. This is the fact, right? And then this is my target. So roughly getting 1%, give or take, little less or little more. So I have shown you my previous month's examples as well. So I've been capturing and showing all of these records that I've been maintaining for my viewers. For each month, I showcase how much money have I made for that month. So in December 2024 was a great month. I made close to $2,500. In January, we again made over $1,300. So then on this $22,500 investment, if I'm pulling in 1% every single week, then what that means is I can pull roughly around 4% for the month or 52% for the year. So on an investment of $22,500, 52% or if we be a little conservative, so we divide that by 2, which will be 50%. Even then, I'm making $11,250. So now put these numbers in long term because I plan to retire in 15 to 17 years from now on. And again, like all of my core investments are all in SPY, QQQ, and SCHD. So I'm not selling those or I'm not doing anything with those. All I'm doing is I'm putting in this $22,500 here. So if you have, that kind of money and you are saying you're not contributing anything out from your pocket to this, and the length of the time in years is 15 years, just like me. For me, I'm planning to retire in 15 to 20 years. So that'll be 15 years here. And the estimated interest rate, your estimated annual interest rate. So it's not monthly, but annually. So why I'm putting here 24 if I'm making 50%? What it does is this calculator, I notice, is is basically adding everything to the baseline as well. When the stock appreciation happen, this ETF price will go up as well. So when the price of the ETF goes up, then the premium would also go up accordingly. But still, to be on a conservative side, I'm putting here 24% and not 50%. So basically, if you earn half of what I've been able to earn, then let's see the result. And then compound frequency for this much return, like the 24% for the annual return, would be monthly. And then when I calculate this, the numbers come out to be $794,000 from the same 22,500 investment. So if you look here, it is saying in year 0, which is current year, you are gonna make nothing. The first year that you'll be making roughly $5,500 on your investment. Now, $5,500 is nothing that I'm making. I'm making close to $11,000 per year, as I showed you just now. So this is very conservative stat. And then I say, okay, so next year from 28,500, so I'm making 24% return on that much investment, and then so on and so forth. In 15 years, that $22,500 just by selling cash ticket puts and covered calls would turn into close to $800,000. This much, let alone, is enough to fund my retirement. So say for example, from year 14 to 15, what I did is I made roughly, I would say 170,000 or so, right? $168,000 here in 1 year. So what I can do after that is I can just live off of that $178,000. I can take that all of that money out and do not let this compound anymore. But then that I do have solid investment on my core positions like QQQ, SPY, and SCHD. So they're gonna of course help me grow my portfolio over time as well. So I will have my investments coming off of this, like all my daily expenses will be covered by this 160,000 every year. in 15 years, right? Because then by the 15 to 20 years time period, my home will be paid off, and given the inflation that is around 3.5%, that should still be able to cover my monthly cost. And that is how I think it's a really good idea to sell cash secured puts, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not suggesting you again to do anything like this. In a market which is extremely volatile, you can either get burned or you can make a lot of money. I am trying to be a little conservative. I'm selling cash secured puts on stocks and ETFs, which I know have been trading in this band kind of structure where they have hit $35 at most, and on the low side it has hit $25. Of course, we never know the future. It can go down to $20 or maybe even $15. But that is where I am coming in and putting my chips in and saying that I am willing to make over 1% every single week for the amount that I'm risking. So that is how I am planning to retire early in 15 to 17 years from now, and retiring with the good financial risk-free life. I'll be sharing my progress just like I've been doing for the last eight months or so. So thank you guys for sticking around, and if you have any questions, do let me know, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care of yourself and people around you. Goodbye.